There has been fresh violence in Manipur, and three people have been killed in firing. Kuki groups say the victims belonged to their community. The youngest victim is 20 years old. I am Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our relentless focus on the situation in Manipur continues, and the images you see on the screen are those of the three victims. Now, remember, this is a crisis that is now entering its fourth month. The chief minister has asked the people of both communities to forgive and forget. But is that even realistic, given the kind of trauma and suffering that we have seen inflicted on ordinary people of both communities? Most dangerously, more than 4,000 weapons, including mortars and high caliber weapons, assault rifles, are now in the control of civilians. On our ground trip in Manipur, where we went extensively deep into the front line, we met paddy farmers as well as young students, school going students carrying weapons. And you can see some of those images there. In fact, the three people who have been killed today, the youngest victim being 20, were also killed as they stood guard, very much like these men are and these young boys are when they were shot. In the meantime, the crisis has also taken a dangerous turn. The army has had to issue two unprecedented sharp statements saying that they operate without fear or favor. This after 40 legislators have asked for the Assam Rifles that operates directly under the Indian Army to be replaced. And we have even seen instances of women stopping soldiers and asking them to show their ID before passage is allowed onwards. Can we even talk about peace before heads roll? Can we even talk about peace before we actually disarm the civilian population? Joining us on the program today is a very special guest. He's been commentating extensively on the situation in Manipur as well as in the Northeast. Let me welcome to the program now military veteran Major Amit Bansal is with us. Thank you, Major. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Let me start by asking you to talk about the overall situation. We're speaking to you on a day when three men have been killed in a fresh round of violence. Kuki groups say that these are men who belong to their community. There is, of course, suffering in both communities, and these men were guarding their villages. Now, having just come back from Manipur, I sometimes met at the front line boys with whom I would only partially joke, and I'm calling them boys for a reason. They were school-going students carrying guns, and I said to them, your gun looks bigger than you do. They had these baby face expressions. Some of them were in class 12. You can see that from the images. I want to ask you to give your overall perspective. Can we begin talking about peace when there are more than 4,000 weapons in the hands of civilians?
Barkha, there are few things which need to be understood well when we talk about the current perspective of Manipur. We cannot talk of peace unless there is trust. And the trust between the communities has been totally shaken and totally broken. Unless you build up the trust, things cannot move ahead. That is first and foremost thing. Second biggest detrimental issue regarding peace is the information warfare. Huge fake news are peddling everywhere. People are peddling narratives. People are peddling fake news. If anybody is speaking something, they are registering FIR against him. So the kind of atmosphere is being created that if you speak truth, you will be registered against, FIR will be registered against you. And unless you become part of these fake narratives. Third thing is that there are a lot of information which is coming through reliable source, but I presume, that is my personal belief, that there is something wrong. Like I'll give you an example. Solicitor General spoke in Supreme Court, said that the unclaimed bodies lying in the morgues of Imphal are of infiltrators or illegal immigrants. The claim, which was proved to be wrong later when Kuki community came and claimed them. Country's Home Minister claimed on panel and he claimed in Parliament that total of 14,898 people have been arrested in the ongoing violence. Now, if I apply my logic, I'm not against. I'm 100% sure that what he must be telling is right. But what he's telling is the details and the data given by the government of Manipur, led by Mr. Biren Singh. So if I apply my mind, in Imphal Central Jail Manipur has got 5 jails. Imphal Central Jail has got a capacity of 250. Sajwa Central Jail has got a capacity of 845. Another 3 smaller jails have got a capacity of 50 to 70. So putting all together, about 1,200 to 1,300 people can be accommodated in Manipur's jail. So when 1,200 to 1,300 people can be accommodated, where these 15,000 people are accommodated? Are they actually arrested? Are the figures given by Manipur government to the home minister of this country, are they correct? So
Can I
overall,
can I
when
can
I
I
come,
can I can I can I interrupt there to ask
yes,
you,
yes,
Major? You seem to be saying that the Home Minister Amit Shah has been misled by the Manipur government.
it is possible because the kind of fake narratives are being peddled everywhere. The kind of things are coming from the government of Manipur. The kind of partial attitude was visible in the actions since the very first day. So it looks very much possible. I'm not blaming whatever Human is saying is saying right, but he's saying these things on the inputs given by the state government. So these are always to be taken with a pinch of salt.
Right.
So much of
In
fake news
fact,
are being peddled.
you mentioned that the Solicitor General called the bodies that are stacking up in the morgues of Imphal to be infiltrators. You know, when I was in Manipur, I met some of these families. One were the parents, and I'll show you these images. They were devastated parents of two young women who worked at a car wash in Imphal. And you know, where they are is just 1 hour away from Imphal. It's been more than 3 months. Their daughters' bodies have not come home. In the FIR, they have said that their daughters were raped, tortured, and killed. They filed that FIR on the 16th of May. Now, they would be shocked to hear themselves described as infiltrators. Similarly, we met with the family, the son of an 84-year-old woman, Major Amit Bansal, who here she is, and you know, she was killed. She can't see, she can't hear, she was not spared. Her son ran away to Saikul. To the tribal belt, and he's still not got the bodies back. So, when you are talking about the comments that the Solicitor General and the Home Minister have made, I'm assuming you are suggesting that they are not being provided authentic, verified, credible information. Is that correct?
Yes. The third thing
Why
which
is
I
that
would like to
happening?
talk about.
Why is that happening, though? Why is that happening?
So that see, I'm a military veteran. I cannot comment on the political issues and the government issues. What government is doing. So this need
Yes.
to be investigated, or maybe the central government has to go into detail as to what kind of information is being provided. Is that relevant or is that correct or not? As a veteran, I can talk about the situation. As a veteran, I can talk about the my own experiences in Manipur. All those things. Third,
Yeah.
which is the most important thing. Third, which is the most important thing I must like to hot, but you speak on any forum. The moment you start talking about the looted stockpiles of weapons, people will come and disrupt the entire show. People will come and disrupt the entire narrative. Nobody would like to talk about more than 3,500 highly sophisticated weapons which were looted from the armories of Manipur Police, Manipur Rifles, and India Reserve Battalions. Instead,
Yes.
they start questioning, okay, so how many weapons have been looted from Chura Champur gun shops? So I must add that there is a difference between a single barrel, double barreled, and muzzle loading gun and a sophisticated light machine gun or a medium machine gun.
Yes.
So,
I,
so
I
that kind
think
of
people I think people in the rest of the country do not even understand that we are talking for the first time in a conflict which is not an insurgency, right? An insurgency is
yes.
different. We are talking about an ethnic strife where mortars are in use, where light machine guns are in use. So I want you to talk a little bit about that.
So in these conflict, there was a video which was made viral few days back in which civilian people were openly seen patrolling with SLRs and machine guns and M16 in the markets of Imphal. So these videos have been made public. Another photo which made its way, it was viral a few days back, where a person claiming to be the chief of an organization called Arambai Tengol by the name of Kuman Korumba. He was seen posing with weapons which were looted from armory. He was posing with weapons, LMGs, AK-47s, and INSAS LMGs. So they were there in his hand. It was openly being seen. Another video which was made rounds where some of the people were there who were carrying all those sophisticated weapons. But despite of that, there is no action visible against these kind of people. No action visible. So if we have to see, if we have to have the correct visibility, again I'm coming back to the information warfare. So the information which is coming from Manipur is neither relevant nor true. Information has
Yeah.
to come which is truth.
So in effect, the Manipur officialdom, whether it is the bureaucracy, the police, or the elected officials, in your estimation as a military veteran, are misleading the country and misleading the central government.
True.
Okay, that's a big and an important statement. Now, let me ask you as a Fauji, and what disturbs me as a, someone who has spent my entire professional life covering the military, is the fact that the army has had to. Our army is a very conservative force. It doesn't really speak in public unless asked to. In this strife, the army is yet to issue twice a statement saying we are operating without fear or favor. The army has been targeted. The Assam rifles have been targeted. You have legislators asking for the replacement of the Assam rifles. We have videos and we can play them where women are actually stopping soldiers and saying, "Apna ID दिखाओ, आप कौन से community के हो, तब हम आपको आगे जाने देंगे." Now, these are, of course, primarily people from the Meitei community that have accused actually the army of prejudice. The army is very upset. They say we have rescued to safety 60,000 people. We have done patrolling in buffer zones. A former DG of the Assam Rifles, Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, said, never before have we been asked to prove our loyalty to the nation. As a military veteran, sir, how do you respond to what's happening with the military and the Assam Rifles, sir?
It is very much unfortunate when the people of Manipur or people from a particular community of Manipur are questioning the actions of army and Assam Rifles. Very much unfortunate, and I feel it is going to create a dent on the country, because you cannot question the uniform forces. The army, of course, they are guarding the nation, and Assam Rifles is a force which is being led by the officers of Indian Army. So they are not biased. They are never biased. They are just guarding the buffer zone, and because of one incident where 3 people were killed, you can start blaming the entire Assam Rifles. Not only that, the entire everybody, the social media, the people, even the elected people, 40 MLAs are going and submitting the memorandum to the Home Minister saying that Assam Rifle to be removed. On the other hand, I personally feel that whatever it is happening, whether they are creating a demand to repel the Assam Rifles, remove the Assam Rifles, or whatever it is happening, whatever they are maybe creating a narrative of the drug, maybe they are creating a narrative of infiltrators, illegal immigrants. Everything is happening to hide the narrative of these stolen and looted weapons.
So you are saying that the public, there's an attempt to distract the debate from the looted weapons, which includes light machine guns, assault rifles, mortars, right?
Even the grenade launchers.
Even grenade launchers. And there's an attempt to cover up that looting from police armories.
Yes. Everywhere, whenever you talk about it, they create up with a different narrative. Sometimes something else, sometimes something else. But when we are talking about, Manipur is an ethnic conflict. That is one issue. I've been telling it from the very first day. Manipur is an ethnic conflict. You talk to them, you get both the communities together, things can be resolved. But when it comes to the national security, when we know that 3,500 sophisticated weapons are lying in open, we don't know how many of them have already crossed the borders and gone into the hands of the valley-based terrorist camps in Myanmar. We don't know how many of these weapons have already gone to the valley-based terrorists, the groups which have already been fighting a war with the government of India for the last 30 years. So question is that national security is at threat. And we cannot let anybody divert the attention of national security by petty issues like Assam Rifles or the infiltrators or something else. No. The national security, the looted weapons are the issue which has to be addressed first and foremost.
Talk a little bit about the national security implications, because we've been so caught up in the internal strife. I've been saying again and again, the day you start questioning your army, accusing it of ethnic bias, stopping soldiers on the road saying ID dikhao, this is a national security implication in a state which has a 400-kilometer border with Myanmar, and China, just about 2,000 kilometers away, is the Chinese border. So talk about the national security implications that you believe there is an attempt to distract from. You believe that there is an attempt to not talk about why there has been no action against those who have looted weapons.
So if you talk about the number of weapons available at these groups who have looted the weapons, number of looted weapons plus the weapons which were already held up with these so-called valley-based groups, if you have an overall estimation, an entire division of an army can be equipped with these weapons. That is first.
Including the looted weapons and the...
Yes. The weapons which are already available in Manipur, which include the weapons looted from the various police armories and the weapons which are already held with the valley-based groups. If you combine them together, you can easily equip an entire division of army with that. And imagine a division full of rebels, fully armed to the teeth with sophisticated weapons like light machine gun, mortar, medium machine guns, assault rifles, insas, grenade launchers located in a sensitive border state of
Yeah.
India. So you can understand the security implications very easily.
And your question is, why is there no attempt to disarm or punish those who have looted these weapons?
Yes.
Now, one of the framing of the debate has been around infiltration. And the official data is with us. In fact, one of the tribal Kuki leaders told me that the home minister had sent a message to them through the government interlocutor to say that when he said in parliament the the Kuki Democratic Front of Myanmar, it was a slip of the tongue. He meant to say People's Democratic Front of Myanmar when he was talking about infiltration. But the Meitei community keeps making the argument. They, in fact, protest in the streets with placards that say narco terrorists go back, infiltrators go back. If you look at the official data, as you well know, from Myanmar, we've had what approximately 2,000 infiltrators come in post 2021. The bulk of infiltration has actually taken place into Mizoram. So when you hear this debate framed as a debate around infiltration, demographic change, what would you say?
See, when you talk about the official data, you must be knowing that a big chunk of these infiltrators have already been, these people have already gone back. So in Myanmar, the Kuki Democratic Front is fighting a war with a military junta, the Tatmadaw. So whenever they,
The People's Democratic Front. But
yeah, People
anyway, yeah.
Democratic Front, the Cookies are also part of
Huh.
it. Cookies of Myanmar are also part of it. So
Yes.
whenever there is a pressure on them by Tatmadaw, they come to this side of the border, and whenever the pressure is released, they go back. So this thing
Right.
keep happening. Like few days back, Assam Rifle has issued a press release that about 700 something infiltrators have come to India, and after 3 days they said they've gone back. So this thing keep on coming. But what we do, what narrative is being built in, that people who are coming is being counted, but when we same people are going back, it is not counted. Moreover,
Right.
the infiltration, the number of people who have infiltrated in Manipur is quite very, very less. Majority of them have infiltrated in Mizoram, because Mizoram border is directly connected to Champhai border is directly connected. So chunk of them have gone over there. In Manipur, each and every infiltrator, there may be few exceptions which can be counted on fingers, but majority of the people who have come from Myanmar, they are either gone back or they are accounted for. So you cannot claim that the terrorists from Myanmar are coming and attacking people in Imphal. It is practically not possible. I'm not siding
Yeah.
with one community, but I'm siding with the narrative. The kind of things are being built in. Second thing is the narrative which is being built about the narco terrorism.
Yes.
You see the NCRB data, National Narcotics data, which community people have been arrested. So it gives a clear data. If you talk about the entire gamut of narcotic system in Golden Triangle, almost 70% to 75% of it is now being converted into chemical based drugs like methamphetamine and yaba drugs. Only
Hmm.
25 to 30% is limited to opium. So when the entire gamut is changed, a lot of chemical drugs are being pumped in. And not only that, in Manipur Valley, Imphal Valley itself, a large number of factories making these chemical drugs have been found. So
Hmm.
everybody, see, narcotics is not only one community. Everybody is doing it, because it is as per few estimates, the narcotics industry in Manipur itself is about 70,000 crore worth. So when such kind of
And
value
you
is involved, you cannot.
and you're saying कि उसमें सब मिले हैं. मतलब whenever you have a drug
Everybody.
trade, then everybody from the political class to all across communities, you can't single out one community
Yes.
for that,
See, I'm
right?
telling you, few years back, there was an army colonel who was arrested while transferring contraband. So you cannot. Everybody is involved, because money involved is very huge. There's a huge money is involved. So when we talk about narcotics, again, people are raising these narratives. People are talking about these narratives of narcotics, infiltration, all sort of thing, just because they want to divert the attention from these looted weapons.
How does it help the powers that be to have these looted weapons in circulation? How does that help them?
So, see, it is very difficult to comprehend as of now how these looted weapons are going and where are these going. I can assimilate, yes, chunk of them might have already fallen into the hands of the valley-based groups who are already fighting KYKL, PREPA, KCP, PLA, UNLF. So they are the ones who already been fighting a war with India. So chunk of it has already gone to them. Plus, as we hear the news from Manipur, there is a notorious group called as Arambai Tengol. I mentioned about its chief flaunting weapons and all. So something might have gone into their hands also. So
Hmm.
overall, when in a sensitive border state, you cannot have armed people operating just like that. My only concern
Absolutely.
is that anybody. And it has to be disarmed totally, not only valley based. If you have
So
to
let's
operate, you have to disarm the valley hill areas also.
So let's start talking in the end about how that can happen. When you said trust is broken between communities, where do we begin the process of disarming? Because, even the young men I met who have guns, I said, will you give them up? They said, no, first the other side. First the other side. Unko bolo let them give up. Now, the issue is the army could be tasked with disarming, but the army is also operating without full AFSPA cover, right? The army is
Yes.
not going to fire on its own citizens, not in a non-insurgency context. Women are at the front line of many of these blockades. The army is not going to fire on them. The army, in one instance, released 12 militants to avoid a confrontation with women protesters. So, when you say disarm these women, where does that process begin?
So first of all, you need to have a complete freedom to be given to the armed forces in terms of Armed Forces Special Power Act, because we all know that chunk of these weapons are lying in the valley area, and it's the valley area where Armed Forces Special Power Act is not there. You need to
Right.
firstly invoke that AFSPA immediately without any delay. That
So,
is
you're
first and
saying we
foremost.
need AFSPA in the valley area.
Yes, immediately. You may
Right.
impose it for 6 months till the time all the weapons are recovered. I am not saying impose it immediately, but it has to be imposed till each and every looted weapon is recovered. Each and every looted weapon. That is first aspect. Second aspect, Manipur has got a typical society which is governed by the social aspects, particularly the women. So women have been governing the entire society for since ages. So they call the shots. So
Hmm.
these Mira pipes they call it. So we
Yes.
need to have. So today, if see, even if you give full power to army, they go to search a village. They carry out a cordon and search in one of the village. These women will line up, and they will not allow them to carry out this kind of operations. So for that, you need to have different kind of strategy. You have got women
So,
battalions of CRPF.
are you saying the Mira Paibis have become an obstruction to the army?
Yes, they are causing an obstruction to army. They are causing. See, the way there were three corps has tweeted a video a few days back where
Yes.
these Mira Pipes were openly escorting the armed riders to a village, to a Kuki village in the vehicles. It was clearly visible. Then they
Hmm.
clearly, another video which was floating where they were obstructing the Assam Rifle from moving from one place to another. Third video which was floated where they were asking the identity cards. So these kind of things are always detrimental towards the peace. So when there's a
Okay.
detrimental, so you need to handle them very carefully. We have got women
Now the
battalions of
now the
CRPF,
thing is that for AFSPA, okay, you're saying bring in more uniformed women, but the
uniform women.
women, but sir, I have encountered the Mira Paibis. I've interviewed them. They will not move whether you place men in front of them or you place women in front of them. My question is, one, you have said AFSPA. We need AFSPA also in the valley areas. For that, the government needs to move an ordinance. There's no parliament in session. That's the first point. The second point is, does Manipur need president's rule? Because if you're actually saying the center is being misled by the Biren Singh government, then how can this government oversee a peace process?
Barkha, it is a political call. And what I must say is that the security forces need a free hand.
Right.
It needs a free hand. Whatever is possible to give them a free hand should be done. If it is AFSPA is must, which is must, I'm telling you, giving a presidential rule to what extent it may materialize, this is the political call. So the rulers of the country will have to think on that. Another aspect
Okay.
I must, so they have to take a call on that. But if you allow the force, allow the army to carry out large scale cordon and search operations, and also give them freedom to arrest or shoot the people who are causing issues, causing violence. So
It's not
maybe it
easy.
will
It's
take.
not easy, sir, for the army, very conservative Indian army doesn't use typically force on its own people, particularly on women, which is probably why they've been placed at the front line of many of these
So there
agitations.
are other ways to handle them. There are tear gases. There are other kind of mob dispersal mechanism. So these kind of things can be used. So army oblique Assam Rifles oblique paramilitary central paramilitary forces are well capable of handling them. I'm just telling you
Okay,
they should be given the armed force. They're well capable of handling.
let
They've handled such large mobs in Kashmir when people used to come and stone pelting and all those things. So should
you
not
know,
be a
but
major
the
issue.
Okay, let me ask you in the end. If you had to, you've given several points. You've said the biggest issue is the looting of the armories, the fact that there are grenades, mortars, light machine guns, high caliber weapons,
Even the
sophisticated
bulletproof
weapons,
jackets, even huge number of bulletproof jackets also.
even bulletproof jackets today in the hands of you believe civilians that may have then passed them on to valley-based insurgent groups. That's the first important point you're making. The second is you're
Yes.
saying we need AFSPA, we need the AFSPA cover in the valley. Now let me ask you in the end, and you believe the center is potentially being misled by the Biren Singh government. Let me ask you in the end, the one thing that needs to happen urgently, what would it be?
Armed Forces Special Power Act with immediate effect, without any delay.
The Armed Forces Special Powers Act without any delay. I hope the center is paying heed, because the irony is that the one time that the army, really needs it to operate, it's operating, as many of them have said, with one hand tied behind them, and that is actually what's happening. And a lot of people, sir, don't understand that without the ASPA, it means you have to take a judicial magistrate every time you set out.
Yes.
And that, of course, is not practical. Major, what concerns you the most about Manipur today? What worries you the most?
Today, the thing which worries me most about Manipur is the humanitarian crisis. See, if I take the example of only Churachandpur,
Yes.
the district has got a population about 2.5 to 3 lakhs. Another about 1 lakh refugees have already poured in from various places. More than 1 lakh refugees have already gone over there from various villages. All the supply routes have been cut down. No supply is going from the valley. No supply is coming from any other area. There are no medicines. There are no food. And somebody has to survive because all the routes have been blocked. I don't know whether to what extent it is true or not, but I've heard that even there are certain Assam Rifle posts where these Mira Pipes have stopped the supplies also. The only route which is
I
open.
wouldn't be able to confirm that, but I can tell you that on one of the days we were there and we have those images, the road from Imphal to Churachandpur was blocked by the Mera Paibis, and the
Yes.
Kukis wanted to organize a burial that day. And what happened was, and can we play those pictures? And what happened was that the women came and blocked the road, and then the army, the riot police, everybody then came and blocked that pathway, right? So of course the supply lines are often blocked, and I think that's a very important point that you're making. And this is what
Yes.
happened the day we were there. That this highway is completely blockaded on
So
often.
supply has been blocked ever since the violence started on 3rd of May. So you can imagine almost going to be 4 months since the supply lines to the Churachandpur are blocked. Not only that, I'm not saying that Churachandpur is suffering, but Churachandpur is suffering most. Supply lines to Imphal valleys are also blocked from Kangpokpi. So a lot of items are not coming to Imphal Valley also. So
Now, let me ask you. You've spoken about valley groups having guns. You've spoken about looting of armories in the valley. The Meitei community constantly talks about the Kukis having arms. They've also spoken about an Independence Day parade where you had Kuki groups. I think we have that video. You can see them in combat uniform and they're carrying these replica guns. And this video created a lot of furor. And a lot of people say that, that you all talk about the Meiteis being armed, but you don't talk about the Kukis being armed. So what would you say on that?
see, when you talk about the weapons with cookies, so majority of the weapons are with SU groups, suspension of operation groups. Now, all
Yes.
these weapons are very well counted for. So,
Hmm.
so it does not happen like that. All the weapons are kept in a container. They have got double locks and all these things. Cookies have also created some improvised weapons which for their own defense. And majority of the cookie people, if you go, you see in the videos, you will find them carrying single barrel, double barrel, or maybe the muzzle loading guns which they use for hunting. So there is a difference in the kind of weaponry available with cookies or maybe other than the valley-based groups. So you cannot equate them. Weapons are there with both the parties. Everybody is taking care of his own security. The cookies do have the weapons. Some of the Sioux group have got weapons, but the number of weapons, the quality of weapons, the sophistication of these weapons, when you compare them with 3,500 looted weapons, it stands nowhere.
So are you saying that the weapons on the Kuki side are more accounted for than the weapons in the Meitei side?
Yes, the inputs which we are receiving, cookies, the weapons which are with the Sioux groups. Sioux
I want
groups
to just
weapons are
explain. I
most of
want to
them more or less
explain
are
to our
accounted for.
audience. I want to explain to our audience what the Sioux groups are. We are, of course, talking about Kuki insurgent groups that have suspended
Yes,
operations since,
yes,
I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, since 2018. That is the Kuki Sioux groups. They've been in talks with the central government. In fact, we believe that a peace accord
yes.
had almost been agreed to. So you're saying that those guns are accounted for, and it's the valley where the large scale looting has taken place, right? That's the argument you're
Yes,
making. Okay.
yes, yes.
So, and what concerns you the most is the potential humanitarian crisis if the
Exactly.
passage, free movement from the city to the hill areas is not opened soon.
It's not gone so far. It has to
Very
be open
worrying.
immediately.
Very worrying situation. Thank you, Major Bansal. Learned a lot from talking to you, and we'll, of course, circle back to you as and when we have more news coming, both from our ground reports in Manipur and the story that we're following very closely. Thank you for flagging so many important issues. Take care. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you, Barkha.
Thanks, sir. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.